Hello, are you here to debate?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up? You here to debate?
Yep.
Cool. Give me a second. Cody, thank you for the $20 on Venmo, and Indigo, thank you for the $10 on Cash App. Thank you, guys. Real quick, you have a bit of an echo. Are you on speaker?
Yeah, I'll take it off.
Okay, cool.
Is that better?
Yep. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Ethan, 24, he, him.
Ethan, 24, he, him. And Ethan, what do you disagree with on the board?
I guess I'll go. Well, first of all, I want you to define kind of what you mean by like trans women are women. So I kind of agree that, like, yes, their gender identity should be respected, but I also don't think we should discount the difference between biological women and trans women. Like, I feel like a lot of the left tries to just discard that and engage them in everything when there are clearly differences and they have a different lived experience.
Yeah, sure. We don't, by the way. When it comes to cis women, which is the term we use for people whose gender identity aligns with their sex, and trans women, we do distinguish them from each other when comparing and contrasting their two different lived experiences or other differences in the group. We use the term cis and trans. But if we're talking about them without comparing or contrasting, we would just call both of them women.
See, I feel like, yeah, but a lot of biological women don't like being called trans women. Or
They're not called
Jesus
trans
Christ,
women.
cis women.
Oh, sucks to suck. Sucks to suck for them. Truly. I will build them a bridge and hopefully they can get over it.
And people do try to discount that and act like there's no difference. Why else are they trying to allow them into sports? And I understand that the rate of athletes is low. That doesn't mean there's not a push to include them.
Wait. We don't separate sports by whether you're trans or not. Sports are just separated by gender. So if trans women are women, they should be able to compete
separated by sex
with women. Why?
That's my opinion.
Why?
There are inherent differences.
There are inherent differences between the sexes, so sports should be separated by sexes. So you're saying that
yes.
if it is the case that there is a difference in your biology that would give you some type of advantage, this reason you should be barred from competing with people without that biological advantage.
Yes.
Okay, so why do we let Michael Phelps swim? Why do we let Michael Phelps swim?
What, because he has does he have a mutation or something?
Well, yeah, he has multiple. He has multiple mutations that grant him a biological advantage in swimming.
Thank you, Boo.
That's why he's so good at it.
If we're that's saying not that, due to direct surgery, and she was just born like that. They're born and then they transfer and then they do it. And also to the degree of which you can, like at what point in transition are you allowed to do it? Are you allowed to?
What are you talking about?
Be like 5 weeks into transition as a fully grown adult and then go into
that's a whole different argument. Are we pivoting
game?
Arguments now? That's a whole different argument, friend. Trans people.
But they haven't specified.
Hold on.
Well, yes, they have. Argument.
Pretty much every sports has specified, and typically it's about 2 years of cross-sex hormones. But your claim was that it's the difference in biology, but Michael Phelps is okay because he was born that way, but trans people are also born that way. Like a trans woman having male physiology would be because she was born with male physiology. So I don't understand why Michael Phelps can do this, but they can't.
All right, then maybe there's an argument that Michael Phelps shouldn't. I don't think that's honestly a super unfair argument.
Okay, so we're just saying if you have a biological
argument in the world.
If you have a biological advantage in the competition, you can't compete in the competition to find the person who's best.
If aliens just came to our world and we're like, okay, we want to let you go in the Olympics, and they're just objectively fucking better at us and everything. Now? It's like it's just not super fair, but like we invited them, so fuck.
Space Jam argument, got it.
That's
yeah. So what I'm hearing is when we're trying to decide who's the best at the be the best you can be competition, we don't actually want the best people there. We want an even playing field of like the most average people and let them compete.
No, we don't want people who have been grown in testosterone that have the shoulder and bone structure of a man boxing and beating the fuck out of a woman who has had estrogen and a frail body and just doesn't have that.
Okay, you think
objectively different.
Okay, do you think every person born a male will beat every person born a female in competitive fighting sports?
No, but if you look at the averages, statistic evidence supports that, like, yes, men are better at sports. Men have more physical strength. Testosterone makes your muscles grow bigger.
Okay, but if this is the case, why do we have examples of trans men who beat cisgender men in boxing?
Yeah, because not all men fucking are that strong or skilled.
Thank you, Boo.
Okay.
It's just fact. You could be more strong and skilled.
Why do we have examples of cisgender women beating transgender women in fighting sports?
I could look some up.
I mean, it just feels weird that, like,
but
if
it's
we're
also
saying, like,
the rate of them is low. We're stopping it.
Well, yeah.
Before it gets in, and there are people who are more reasonable about it and pushing more regulations, but there's also people who are just saying, no, if you believe that, you should be able to go. No one should tell you that anything that goes counter to your gender affirming care is bullshit.
Why don't we just make all sports co-ed?
I don't think the left calls out its extremists, and I think that's a big reason why
because I don't think the extremists, like, matter. I think people that actually care about this shit, like the extremists on both sides who care about, like, the sports issue, are just, like, loud for no reason. I also think, like, the right doesn't have any substantial evidence to back up their claims, because what we know based on, like, studies done in sports medicine is that when you are on feminizing hormones for 2+ years, the advantage goes away. So, like, what would the issue be?
I feel like I have a lot of issues trusting medical industries that I feel like would be financially pushed to profit from
financial benefit,
gender affirming care. Like the Medicare industry, all the people you're telling me they don't, and therapy, they don't.
The studies are all wrong because they're being paid for by the medical industry.
I'm not saying that objectively. This is just something I have trouble trusting. I'm not saying I know the objective facts.
Do you have counter studies possibly that would, like, say the opposite? Also, do you have your speaker back on because you're echoing?
Sorry, it's because I'm looking things up. I need to, if I could turn on my computer, but that would take a second.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have, like, counter studies.
Yeah, that's. Well, I was looking up the first thing because you asked me to bring up evidence of women who have. Specifically at boxing, but I was looking at people who have
in boxing. I assume people, like, in fighting sports, you're really just going to be looking at, like, Fallon Fox. Like, there are very few. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Go, Doug. You gotta get that.
Okay. My computer's turning on, but it will take a second. But until then, I could not provide any studies.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who's looked at the studies, there are no relevant counter studies there. I can't even name a counter study to begin with, and I look for them, like, as
but
job.
There's multiple examples of trans women placing high in sporting events.
There's also multiple examples of those trans women getting demolished by cis women. So what's your point? If it is the case, all women.
You could take out that's an anecdotal anecdotal evidence. Like, if we have multiple examples of them winning these whole tournaments, everyone being frustrated with it, and I also think it's just ignoring the female community.
No, we don't. No, wait, hold on. Those multiple examples are of people feigning outrage at a thing to grift, because they, like, we can look at a really direct example. We can look at Leah Thomas and Riley Gaines, and Riley Gaines has made fucking money off of being a conservative anti-trans grifter, because Riley Gaines tied for 5th place with Leah Thomas. Riley Gaines wasn't going to fucking win that shit. Leah Thomas being in that event did not make Riley Gaines lose. Riley Gaines was not good enough to win. So what the fuck's her issue?
Thank you, Boo.
She's sad she tied for 5th place. She's sad Riley Gaines. She's sad she tied for 5th place. Boo-hoo. You should have done better. 4 other cis women beat you. But we don't hear her complaining about them. She only complains about the person she tied for 5th place with. Like she would have done it, like she wouldn't have still come in 5th place. It's fake outrage. It's faux outrage to try to spark some. It's literally to grift. It's literally so they can make money off of the conservative right.
Okay. I don't know. I would have to see this. I'm still not fully convinced, but I also I think they should have the right to identify with that. In terms of gender, I truly think that non-binary makes no sense. All of the other genders people have created made no sense.
What?
If you're,
let me ask you a question. Is there a binary? Is there a gender? Is there? Wait, just really quickly. Is there a gender binary?
Technically no, because there are there are people who are born hermaphrodites. I'd say it's technically like a.
Okay,
tried,
even medically,
there are people who are born.
Just real quick. Even medically, we don't really use that term anymore. It's considered a slur towards trans and intersex people. We don't really use that term anymore. But non-binary makes total sense. If there are genders that exist, there are people who will not align with any of those genders. Therefore, they would be non-binary because they don't align with any of the genders that exist in any given society at any given time.
Yeah, I think that's just called being an androgynous man or an androgynous woman. I think gender roles are way too overhyped and they're not as important.
These aren't about gender roles. This is about
feminine
subjective.
As a man or that, but
this isn't about roles.
But that's the difference. Identity. You could just say you're fucking you're non-binary or there's nothing to prove it. You have some type of mental illness. But when you're trans, going from male to female, you are going across technically the binary. You're switching from one to the other.
Incorrect.
I've also not.
That's not even. That's by the way. That's not really how it works for trans people either. It's not about them switching their gender identity. It's just them.
You're trying to fit into the roles normally of a female. You feel that you are a female. You're trying to embody feminine traits to a certain degree.
We aren't talking about gender roles. We're talking about identity, which is nothing to do with gender roles. Identity is your is innate, subjective perception of your own self. It has nothing to do with the roles in society.
So do you think we have a female and a male soul, or do you think it's just some type of mental thing?
I think that our brains.
And if it caused.
Yeah, I think that our.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, you got to turn off the echo though.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I keep forgetting that. My bad.
I think that we have brains, and in our brains we have a gender identity, and that gender identity will basically allow us to align it's our subjective perception of our sex and how that sex is aligned in our body. So it's about whether or not you align with your sex, so you experience no distress by your sex, or you disalign with your sex, so you feel some distress with your sex. You feel that distress. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with the roles at any given society. It's just
but all they're doing about it is just dressing androgynously. They're still objectively. You don't have to do anything. You have the sex of a man. You don't think you're a female.
Wait.
And you're just dressing androgynously and all.
This is the problem. This is the problem. You're misunderstanding. They don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to do anything about your gender identity for that gender identity to exist. It just is. It just is a constant. Right? If I'm a trans, if you have a trans woman and she never does anything to align her phenotypic representation with her gender identity, she still has the gender identity of woman. Just because the expression...
What would the physical gender identity of a non-binary person then be? A eunuch? What would it be?
It would be non-binary. Non-binary is... What do you mean? There is... When we talk about gender expression, they would probably... Depending on... most of the non-binary people I know don't really concern themselves with what they wear or how they dress or because that, again, is about expression and isn't
Either would an
directly.
androgynous person, and androgyny hasn't existed for a long time. Just
I
all
don't.
these.
Are we just doing
new
the? Are we just
phrases
doing
and
the not
labels.
listen game today? Is that
The
what's
what?
happening? We're doing the not listen game today. Like what? It's not about your gender expression. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Like what? It doesn't matter what you express yourself as because their gender identity would still be non-binary.
So, yeah, you could just say you're non-binary. That doesn't mean anything. You're just still gonna fuck. If you, there are people. I'm non-binary. I fuck women. I do this. I just dress differently. Yeah, you're just androgynous.
What does who you have sex with have anything to do with your gender identity? What?
Is your sexuality? It doesn't. It's just fucking nonsense.
Bro,
it's just
you
a useless
don't know what
label.
you're talking about. You're just saying things. Who you have sex with has nothing to do with what your gender is. Nothing. Literally nothing. They're not even remotely connected to each
gender
other.
is at that point. Gender is just something you say, and it has no tangibility.
Gender's an
like,
identity.
That
Gender is an identity. How else would somebody know what their identity is except for them saying it? What do you mean?
Yeah, just your identity should be. They just and at that point it just caters to people who just want to be special. They're like an in-group.
What are you talking about?
Like fuck. Oh,
you're the one who keeps thinking
people,
about them. They don't. What do you mean? What do you want about?
It's just fucking. I mean, no one's paying as much attention anymore. They've been quieter, but they were just. It's just fucking unnecessary. I'm not gonna like tweak on anyone because they're non-binary, but I've also never met.
You are right now. You're doing that right now.
What?
You're tweaking on non-binary people literally right now. Like that's actively what you're doing.
I'm not going to meet someone who identifies as non-binary, and I'm not going to be like, oh, that's bullshit. Like that's part of basic human respect.
Great, you're just in your
like
head
you just if someone's like call me this, I'm like whatever. Like I don't know you. I'm not going to fuck with you.
Like what? This is nonsense. You don't even understand.
I think I might be losing connection. Fuck.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fine then. What are we doing? What are we doing? Honest to God.